Hey everyone, I'm Angel Tuccy, the founder of Media Firestorm and the Need a Guest podcast networking community. And I am on a mission to create the most profitable podcast guests on the planet. I am so excited that you are here today. I want to show you how podcast interviews can become your number one traffic source, driving new leads, growing your email list, and attracting customers week after week. If you are a coach, an author, a speaker, an expert who's tired of creating content that no one sees, or you're running ads that never convert, then this session is for you. We're going to break it down into three simple steps that you can start implementing immediately to amplify your reach without needing a huge following or complicated tech. When I started getting booked on podcasts, I thought it was just a way to fill in between live stages. They were like filler for me. But after 2 years of focusing and dedicating myself solely to using podcasts as my number one traffic source, my community, my Facebook community grew from 10,000 people to 40,000 people in just 2 years by being a guest on a podcast. What would it do for you and your business if your email list grew by 30,000 extra leads by doing something, speaking about something you love, you're passionate about, and doing it from the comfort of your own home? I want to give you guys the easy button today. I'm going to break this down into three simple steps. Three strategic steps, right? Simple isn't always the easiest, but three strategic steps that I not only have used for myself, but we have been teaching hundreds of clients through the Media Firestorm program over the last couple of years. But number one, I'm going to show you how 2 podcast interviews a week can transform your business. How did I get booked on over 100 podcasts in 1 year? By doing 2 interviews a week. So write this down. Right, 2 interviews a week. It can consistently get you booked on over 100 podcasts in a year. This is one of the things we teach our clients inside of our Media Firestorm program. 2 interviews a week. We guarantee they can get booked on 2 interviews a week because of our in-house podcast network. But for you, this is the simple strategy of how you're going to leverage other people's audiences to grow your email list and to become a profitable guest. But here's the thing. When I was out speaking on stages, I, I'd be gone for 1, 2, 3, 5 days. I was away from my house. I had to travel and I would impact that audience while I was there, which was beautiful, right? I could have these great interactions, this great impact. But when I left, right, within a few days, that interview, that talk was over. With a podcast, it lives on, right? It lives on, right? In every interview, kind of lives in perpetuity. It's recorded. Somebody can listen to it next week, next month, next year, and your impact compounds. So each episode lives forever, and one interview can bring you leads for years. When I look back at some of the people that have started to work with me, like they heard of me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, heard of me on a stage or on a podcast or somewhere. But one podcast interview can change the trajectory of your life and can totally impact. But the secret here isn't just one podcast interview at a time. It's in the volume. One is like a flash in the pan and it disappears, right? All the fanfare wears off. But imagine every single week you're like, I'm on a new show. I just got booked for another show. I just got booked for another show. And now you're going to hit that tipping point of becoming a sought after guest where people are seeking you out for your expertise. Have you been on this show? Have you been there? Do you know this person? Do you know that? You're going to create that tipping point, branding yourself as a podcast guest. And here's the other thing. How many of you have heard that people do business with people they know, like, and trust, right? Right? How do you build that trust? How do you expedite that trust factor? It's from being in front of the room, being that interviewed guest, right? On somebody else's show. The host has already built that rapport with their audience, and you get to walk away as the expert. You get to be introduced as the expert to that audience. And it is an incredibly beautiful thing, right? So you get to borrow the trust. That trust transfers automatically over to you. And I already said the compound effect, right? It's 2 interviews a week equals 100 audiences, not 100 conversations, not 100 one-on-ones, right? Write this down. No more one-to-ones, only one-to-many, right? And 2 interviews a week equals 100 stages, 100 podcast interviews, 100 opportunities. And it's not just building relationships with their audience. It's building relationships with the hosts, right? The hosts who have an email list. They also have a social media following, right? They have clients that you could work with, right? Like there's so many opportunities plus the media visibility reach of getting booked on those podcasts builds up over the course of the year. Don't just come in like most of my clients who come to us, like they've been getting booked on podcasts. They've been doing it occasionally. When you create podcasting as a strategy, as a guest, as a strategy, the compound effect really starts to kick in and take place. It takes about 90 days for that compound effect to kick in, right? First 30 days, you're booking shows. Second 30 days, you're doing the interviews. And then the next 30 days, those podcasts are starting to drop. And so it takes about 90 days to start to create that compound effect and create that momentum, but you've got to stick with it, right? So when do you think would be a good time to start? How about right now, right? Let's start getting booked on podcasts. Though they're looking for stories, right? They're looking for expert guests. They're looking for quality guests. And you have a story. And I don't know if you've ever listened to a podcast and you thought my story's better than that. How did they get there? Proximity, right? Building that relationship, connecting, reaching out, putting themselves in front of that host in order to get that feature. But you can go from unknown to in demand in a really short period of time by elevating your authority and building this brand recognition. So many of us want our story out there, feel like you're the best kept secret. Anybody here feel like you're the best kept secret? Well, no more. Like that's not an accolade I want to be proud of. There's so many opportunities to go out and share your story, the thing you're most passionate about, the thing you're most excited to talk about. It's long form content. I mean, social media has created this ADD effect in people just scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. When somebody listens to a podcast interview, they're listening deeply within their ears. Like they're probably doing something, another activity, right? Walking their dog, working out, like they're commuting, and they're actively engaged, and you're building trust because there's somebody's got you right in their earbuds. It doesn't get much more personal than that. It doesn't get much more intimate than that. You want to connect deeply with an audience, you get to do that in a dialogue, in a conversation as a podcast guest. And there isn't anything else that can create, social media doesn't create that. An ad doesn't create that as deeply connecting as you can as a podcast guest. And imagine, right, as you're having that interview and you're having that conversation with a host, right, you're speaking directly to your audience, that person. You might share your message with everyone, but you're speaking to your someone. And it's so powerful when you are doing that on as a podcast guest. Now, here's the thing. You don't need a viral moment. You don't need one flash in the pan podcast to like hit, the hundreds of thousands and millions. What you need is to consistently get booked every single week. You've got to play the clubs, right? You've got to have the numbers, getting yourself out there week after week after week, sharing your message, sharing your story in front of a brand new audience, not just speaking to the same people over and over again, week after week, but really getting in front of a brand new audience with your story. And here's the thing, it never gets old because this is the thing you love to talk about, that you're most passionate about, you're most excited about. It actually is really good for the mental health of your business. Imagine having 2 interviews every week on your calendar just to kind of lift your spirits and lift you up because the world will want to knock you down. And there's such high demand right now for positive programming, for lifting up stories and encouraging stories. And if you've got a hero's journey where you've overcome something and now you're teaching people on the other side, the world needs that. And that's what podcast hosts are looking for. And if you can tie that into a framework where you can actually teach something, give them guidance, have a great call to action to build your email list and bring them into your sales funnel, it's a winning combination. It's a winning combination. And there really isn't anything out there that can create this same dynamic as being a podcast guest. So part two. So part one, we talked about how podcasts Part one, we talked about how podcasts can generate leads just by getting booked on 2 interviews a week, right? You're going to want to make sure that you've got a great lead magnet, a great call to action, a way that people can follow you and connect with you. In order to pull in, right? You're sharing with everyone, but you're speaking to your someone. But in this part two, this is how you land on new shows every single week. You got to play the clubs. I said this. Don't count on just, one big show. Don't, I get people all the time, Angel, I only want to get booked on the big shows. I get it, right? We don't want to waste our time, but the hosts don't want to waste their time either. If they've got a big show, they want a big guest with a big following. So sometimes we need to start by playing the clubs, right? Get yourself out there. We need practice. Write that down. Practice, 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 practice. My speaking coach told me the first 100 stages are practice, right? And so how do you get practice on 100 stages? Podcast interviews, right? You want to make sure that you are out there every single week and you want to ditch the niche. Don't feel like you can only speak to your target audience and on shows that are aligned with only your buyers. Nurses don't only listen to nursing shows. Teachers don't only listen to teaching shows. Parents don't only listen to parenting shows. In fact, Virginia, one of our clients, Virginia, she got booked on a show that was not her target audience. When they said, "This is the audience we serve," she thought, "What am I doing here? Like this isn't who I serve." But she showed up, told her story, and started, share with everyone, but speak to your someone. And at the end of it, the host, who's pretty legendary in their space, invited her. He's like, I invited you on, I accepted you on here because I want to work with you. And I thought this was the fastest way, right, to get to know you, learn more about you. She ended up, gaining an incredible client from it. And Virginia, she's the referral diva and she recommends like you're building relationships with the podcast hosts. Imagine if you only built a relationship with the host, who in most cases is talking to your target audience. They have an email list, a social media following, a client list, right? They have all of this other reach in addition to the reach they have with their podcast audience. So say yes in the beginning to every opportunity and show up and deliver. Play the clubs, get your message out there. I said yes to every opportunity that came at me in the beginning. And once you've done, 20, 30 shows, then you can get a little pickier. But I'll tell you what, Google and the search engine algorithms, they don't care what the size of the show is. They don't care who the audience is, right? But you still get that visibility reach and that impact of saying, "Hey, I've been booked on 20 podcasts already this year." When somebody asks you, "What's new?" Same old, doing the same thing, right? We tend to kind of, right? I got booked on 20 podcasts. How about you, right? How exciting is that to say I got booked on all of these podcasts? Right? The second thing you need is an irresistible headline. Your topic, your podcast title is the episode's headline. So make sure that you spend time working on this. Don't be lazy and think that the host is going to come up with a great podcast headline for you. You deliver, right? Spend some time, do some research, do some testing. Our group, actually, our team, we speak at small business expos this year. We started adding speaking at small business expos. And so I've got one of my team members is out. She's a speaker. She's a sell from stage speaker. So she's going out and speaking at these small business expos. And she was just at an event. It was a very poorly attended event. And she said all the workshop rooms were barely attended. Every room is set up for like 60 to 70 people in the room. And they had like 7 to 12 people in each of these rooms. And so when your room is set up for like 60 to 70 people and you have like a dozen people in the room, it's pretty obvious the room is pretty empty. Her rooms, she does 2 workshops. They are standing room only, right? Every seat is filled, standing room only. And you want to know what the difference is? Because they haven't met her yet. They don't know anything about her yet. It's her workshop title. Titles matter. So spending some time workshopping your workshop titles is critical. So having a great headline and a great introduction is going to get you booked 5 times faster on a podcast and attract 5 times more leads back into your funnel, into your email list, because you've got 5 times more people listening, right? You can do the math. Less people listening, less leads. More people listening, more leads. They come for the topic, but they stay because they fall in love with you. They love your topic. They love your energy. They love your style, your hero's journey. They can relate to you. There's all sorts of things. Like they'll come for the topic, but they'll stay because they fall in love with you as the guest. And remember that you're going to personalize all of your approaches as you guys are reaching out to podcast hosts. It's not really a one size fits all, right? We're not just going to use a generic pitch to every single host. We want to create a template. And so what we have our clients do is create a template that they can customize and customize it to that particular audience or that particular host. So if it's something about speaking to moms, or I'm looking for somebody who speaks to real estate investments, or I'm looking for a topic on health being healthier, right? How can we tie our presentation, our podcast pitch, right, to that target audience? And so make sure that you personalize it. It goes a long way to actually listen to an episode of a show that you want to be on, right? Know something about it and always offer to promote the show. I think that's the biggest thing that podcasters come to me and complain about their guests is they never even tell anybody they were on the show. So offer to share the show, schedule in, right? When is this going to drop? Ask them when it's going to be released and when is it going to drop? And make sure that you're promoting it. Promote the day you record it, right? Build some buzz and anticipation. Can't wait for it to launch on, September 12th. And then on September 12th, make sure that you're pushing it out. And you can share it more than once, right? It's not a one-hit wonder. It's not like it goes away. It's evergreen, right? You've created content that stands the test of time. So you can share it, right? Next quarter, next year, keep it in your arsenal. I like to keep a tracking sheet. We have all of our Media Firestorm clients have a tracking sheet. And it's a Google sheet, right? These are the shows I've been on, right? Here's the recording link, here's the date I recorded it. And so it's a one-stop shop. So you've got that for all of your marketing that you're using. And consistency is really the key here. Again, it's not just once in a while that you're getting booked on a podcast. It's every single week, right? And if you can do 2 interviews a week, you won't burn out, right? It'll just really jazz you up, right? Get you all excited about getting out and sharing your message in front of a new audience consistently, right? We guarantee that our clients get booked on 50 podcasts in 6 months. And we do that because we have an in-house network that we can provide, but we also have this free Facebook community. Needaguest.com will take you into that free Facebook community where you can connect right now directly with hosts who are looking for guests, right? Match up your message, make sure that you're in alignment and go out. You've just got to get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. What tech do you have to have in place to go and get started? You just need to have a good message, right? This is my story. And then a way to attract those leads back into your castle, a way for them to connect, the audience to connect with you. And there's lots of different ways you can create a lead magnet, a squeeze page, an opt-in, but you don't have to have your funnels built. You don't have to have a bunch of tech. You don't have to do ads. You don't have to have a big social media following. You don't have to have, your website built. You don't have to have the program, the course, none of it, right? You're building your list, right? Until you've got an email list or a following, your job is to build your list, right? Build your followers. In fact, our job, and I had this little conversation with Virginia, as business owners, if you're a business owner, there's 4 things that you do every day: generate leads, create offers, sales, and fulfillment. Leads, offers, sales, fulfillment. And if you are doing more than 4 hours a day in fulfillment, you need to go back and do more time in leads, sales, and offers, right? So often we get so into creating content and getting organized and in fulfillment and delivery, but really our core, and she says this, it's your business hygiene, right? Just like brushing your teeth. What are you doing to create visibility, exposure, and leads? Are you booking a podcast, right? Are you reaching out and setting up calls with your followers, right? With those that are on your email list. So there's a lot of different things, right, that we're going to do to monetize. And that's what's taking us into part 3. This is how you turn these podcast interviews into leads and sales. Here's the thing. People are getting booked all the time. You are probably getting booked pretty, at least fairly regularly. People are inviting you to be a guest on their podcast, and you understand the value of being a guest on a podcast. You know that there's potential there, but maybe you haven't quite figured out the strategy. And so people will come to me and say, Angel, yeah, I've done a couple of podcasts, but it hasn't changed my business at all. And I'll tell you that being a podcast guest can be an absolute waste of time. Yeah. Yep. Right. If you don't have a strategy, if you don't have a way to convert that audience into leads on your, add them to your own email list, then a complete waste of time it can be if you do not have a strategy. And that's actually what I see most people are doing. Even if they're getting booked, they're not getting booked consistently. They're not doing them, like it's not part of their strategy. They were like me. They're kind of, it's filler, it's a back end. They don't have a great lead magnet. They don't have a good call to action. They don't have a way to monetize it, right? Leads, offer, sales. Leads, offer, sales. What comes first? Leads. Where do we get them? Podcasts, interviews, right? How often do we do that? twice a week, right? But then how do we convert them and turn that into leads, turn those leads into sales? Number one, during the interview, right during the interview in your introduction, right? I'm so excited to talk to you today about how to amplify your reach, how to get booked on 2 podcasts a week. In fact, we created the program where we guarantee our clients getting booked on 2 podcasts a week. And I'm excited to share that with your audience today, right? So seed your call to action right in the introduction, right? You seed it again inside of your story, right? You seed it throughout. So it doesn't sound salesy. It doesn't sound like it's a sales pitch, but here's the free thing, right? Not only do we teach you this, we've created the community where you can get access to podcasters who are looking for guests. I have about a dozen podcasters this week who are looking for guests, and I can connect you with them right now for free when you go to our Facebook community. You can get there by going to needaguest.com, right? Needaguest.com will take you right into that Facebook community. Your call to action, your freebie needs to be exciting, needs to be the answer, right? The natural direction of what this podcast interview is leading people to. What are you getting them all excited about? Now give them the way that they can get that and give them a result and give them, a little bit deeper connection with you. And it's got to be good. None of this newsletter, ebook, right? It's got to have a result. It's got to have the sticky thing that is the answer to what they're looking for. It's the bold promise. You want to get booked on podcasts every week? Let me connect you with podcasters right now today who are looking for guests. I can get you booked today when you go to needaguest.com, right? I can get you this answer, this solution today, right? When you go to my freebie URL. So it's got to be clear, right? That call to action has to be clear. If you love this, you're going to love this guide. You're going to love this recipes, right? You're going to love these tips. You're going to love these answers. You're going to love these solutions, this meditation, right? That I'm going to offer to you. And it has to have a really sticky and clean and easy to spell, easy to say URL, right? The domain. Where am I going? If you are using, a software that's got a really funky URL, something slash this with code, like go to buy the domain name, needaguest.com, right? Make your big impact, right? Whatever it is, master the podcast stage, right? Whatever it is, like buy the domain name and point it, right, to that landing page where you can collect those emails. We also use text opt-ins, right? You can text the word famous, right? FAMOUS to the number 26786, right? You can do that as well, but you want to make sure that you have a way to capture leads. And there's always, right? There's so many ways and there's so many options for creating an opt-in, a lead magnet, a squeeze page, but always send them. Don't send them to, Amazon to go buy my book. Don't send them to social media to follow you. Don't even send them to your main website where they can look and leave. You want them to land and grab, right? You want them to grab your freebie, right? Something for them and give you their email address to get it. Something for you, something for me, something for you. Grab your email, right? You'll get this freebie when you give me your contact information. So, and make sure that you only have one. How many? One. How many? One. Yes, I'm repeating it. One call to action. Because here's what most people do. And you think, right? You think you're being like super helpful and like catering to the entire audience and like offering them all sorts of good stuff here because you want to capture them, right? Give them the tool, right? What if they like social? What if they like this? What if they want to use the phone? What if they, right? And you think you're being adding more value by giving lots of calls to action, right? CTAs, but really you're confusing and you just want to have one. But most people are like, here, go to my website, follow me on Instagram, book a call with me here, right? All of the things. You just really need one. Think about it as if your business is a castle. It's sitting up high above the kingdom, right, of all the people that you're going to reach. And there's only one way into that castle because there's a moat around it. Your business has a moat around it, and there's one way, and that's that drawbridge into that castle. And so, in that drawbridge into that castle, right, that's your call to action. That's your lead magnet, your opt-in, whatever the language is that you're using. So, make sure, right, needaguest.com, that's the first way into the castle. First domino that drops, I want to get your email address. And then here's the link to go buy my book. And then here's a way to book on my calendar. And then, right, here's how you can work with me. And then here's my community, like all the things, right? But first, first things first. And there is an order to follow. And then what we have our clients do is we have them get booked on podcasts every week, 2 podcasts a week, 50 podcasts in 6 months. They have a great lead magnet, right? A way to attract leads, a URL that gets them, collects email addresses. So they're building their email list, lead generating from these podcasts. And then from there, we have them open their store every day, right? How often are you emailing? Well, let me ask you this. How many people are on your email list right now? Right? Approximately, right? How many people do you have on your email list? And then the second question, how often are you emailing them? So before I started the Media Firestorm process, I never emailed my list except to say, hey, I'm going to be on a summit, and here's the 3 emails that I need to send, right, to be on, to invite you to the summit. Those were the only emails I was sending. My business partner Jamie came along and he flipped my world upside down, encouraging me to start sending an email every day. Does that just kind of like give you the EBGBs? Did I have some people that are like, oh my gosh, Angel, like what's going on? You're sending me an email every day. I'm like, yep, I am. I'm open for business every day. No more hobby, no more messing around, no more playing small. My business is open every day. So I'm sending an email every day. What are we doing? Leads, offers, sales. That's our job. Leads, offers, sales. Offers are the emails, right? We're not selling in a podcast interview. We're not selling on our social media pages, right? Unless it's an advertisement. Everything that we're doing is to bring leads back to our email list. And then we send that email and encourage them to book a call with us or come to our webinar or our 5-day challenge, the place that we are selling. Us, we sell in a phone call, right? Or I might sell in a webinar, or I might sell from a stage presentation. But everything, right, is the generating leads, get them onto my email list, and then we send an email every day. And the people, I mean, I have people that buy from me that, they've gotten 50 emails from me before they'll book a call, right? But imagine if you're only sending an email like once in a while, let's say you send one a week and it takes 50, that's a year's worth of emails before they're going to buy from you. The thing is, you guys, it's volume. The secret to business, my uncle-in-law, my husband's uncle, used to run a fence, a shed building company. And he used to say to Jay and his cousins, boys, the secret to success is volume, right? And he had this big, boisterous volume, right? And you thought it was being loud, but no, it's volume. It's the same for us. We're doing all the right things. We're getting booked on some podcasts. We're sending some emails. We're making some offers. We're converting some sales, right? We're doing all the right things. We're just not doing enough. What Media Firestorm is a firestorm of volume. In your first 30 days, we have you get booked on one podcast every day and send one email every day for the first 30 days. Imagine how in 30 days from today, your entire business model can change, your entire business flow, the volume, the lead gen, like how it can change. I think as business owners, like we think it has to take forever. We're spending all of our time like chasing a lot of shinies, where really it's 2 activities, exposure and sales. Those 2 things are the only 2 activities. That's your business hygiene. You brush your teeth, you book a podcast. You floss your teeth, you send an email. Do those 2 things every day, and then you have the rest of the day, right? To fulfill, serve your VIP clients, create content, all of that fun stuff, right? And every podcast interview actually also gives you a chance to turn that into evergreen content, create blogs, create clips, create social media content, right? And establish you as the expert in the space. So your goal isn't just to be on a podcast, it is to profit. It is to profit from every single interview. I am on a mission to create the most profitable guests on the planet. Is that you? Are you feeling it? Are you like so excited about, okay, I've got a message. I know I'm doing it. Maybe I'm playing just a little smaller than I think I should be. It is my time. I am ready to just light a fire under this, a firestorm, like create the energy and the momentum, right? It is my time. No more messing around. Let's get her done. I want to be a racehorse. What's the difference between, or what's the one thing that makes a racehorse? It's the blinders, so that they're not distracted by all the other stuff that's going on. As entrepreneurs, We are chasing squirrels all day long. What you got over there? What you got over there? Oh, I should be doing that. I could do that. I could do that, right? Like we are chasing squirrels all day long. We need to be racehorses. Blinders on, people. Get booked on a podcast, send an email to create sales. Book on a podcast to generate leads, send emails to generate sales. Like these are the two activities with the results we're looking for. Like if you write down, like what are the results you are looking for? What are your goals over the next, 30, 60, 90 days for your business? More leads, more sales. Okay, well, how do I get more leads? I get booked on a podcast. I get booked on more podcasts. How do I generate more sales? I send more emails, right, to generate more sales. It's not complicated, but you need a system and a strategy. And the thing is, we're all running around. I see it every day in other people. Like they're just trying too many things. It's the power of one that's going to grow your business the fastest. One audience, right? One offer, one marketing platform for 1 year, right? One offer, one marketing platform, 1 year, right? Your core audience, right? One. How many offers do you have right now? Like I had a bunch. I will tell you, this is my story. I had Media Mastery, which was my digital course. I had group coaching, I had retreats, we did PR, we did publishing, I mean, we did press releases. Like we had a menu, right? As big as the Cheesecake Factory of offers, thinking that I wasn't leaving money on the table and I was offering more, right? You're always going to be leaving money on the table. But what if you had one core offer, right? And think about this. What is the one thing that people really come to you for? When my business partner Jamie asked me that 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I said they just want to get booked, right? Like that's the main thing they're coming to me for. They want to get booked, right? That's what they're coming to me for. But the reason they want to get booked is because they want to generate more revenue. They need more clients and more revenue. So we took everything off the slate and we put together one core offer. And for 15 months, that is the only thing that we sold until we hit six-figure months, right? It was the only thing we sold until we hit six-figure months. Then we added another product. But until you get there, right, take everything else off the table. Focus on that one core offer. What is it, the one thing that people come to you the most? Our clients want to get booked on podcasts and they want to monetize. I'm on a mission to create the most profitable guests on the planet. And that's what we do at Media Firestorm. So imagine what it would look like if you were getting booked on high quality podcasts every single week without guessing, without hustling, or doing it all alone, which is what you're probably doing now. What if you had a team of people that were helping you turn every appearance into leads and sales, growing your email list and making sales? And that's exactly what we do inside of Media Firestorm. It is a done with you program where we coach you on how to become the most profitable guest on the planet by helping you get booked on podcasts every single week. We help you turn every mic moment into marketing gold. So if you are ready to amplify your reach, grow your list, and finally leverage podcast interviews as your number one traffic source, let's talk. Right? You can come find me. If you go to needaguest.com, you'll get onto our email list. We'll send you an email, book a call with me and my team. Right? You can join the community for free, find shows, connect with podcasts, and you can network there for free. But if you are really to really elevate and take this to the next level, Media Firestorm might just be your next step. And I would be delighted to have that conversation with you. So thank you so much for having me on this stage today. It's been my true pleasure, an honor to serve you. So excited to be in this space, right? Type in the chat, podcast guest. Actually, that's a big word, right? Podcast guest, right? It's my time, right? Share with everyone, but go speak to your someone. I'm Angel Tuccy. Love you. Cheers.